Hello guys, welcome to the Train Parro. Yesterday we had a technical breakdown on the 4-hour and daily time frame. After such breakdown, price was supposed to go to the CME gap. And if you've been following the channel, you know I took a very small profit from the short, so I was not in the short while the price was going down. But the good news is that that move down could turn just now into a fake out to the downside. I'm gonna give you an update on my plan, which still stands, hasn't been invalidated. We'll cover all of that. We'll look into the order book. We're gonna do surgery, forensic analysis of the order book as usual. And I'll give you a breakdown of the news for today. Guys, if you like this type of content, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Hit the notification bell to get notified every time I put out one of these videos. Thanks so much for the combined over 9K views yesterday in these two videos. If you haven't watched yet the video from yesterday, the bear market now, it is not a clickbait video. Everything that is shown in that thumbnail is discussed in the video. To be a clickbait thumbnail, I need to claim there is bear market possibilities on the table, and then I talk about something else. But actually I do talk about that. It's very serious situation. There's tons of indicators resembling the beginning of the bear market. So blame me for talking about that and putting a thumbnail reflecting the topic of conversation. But don't miss it. Seriously. And today's we are with the altcoin season index at 12. That is as low as the 30th of July. And with Bitcoin dominance pinching right below 65% and the RSI pattern about to hit the top ceiling, the top resistance of the Bitcoin dominance, USDT dominance as well breaking down on the weekly basis. The question that you should be wondering yourself is, what's going to happen with the altcoins next? Are we going to get some rally in the altcoins after hitting 65 and breaking down with USDT dominance and being at the same time with the lowest altcoin season index valuation of 12? Look at what happened after that. The last time we were at 12, we went all the way to 86. That move there tends to be the best for altcoins. So as long as Bitcoin manages to cancel out that resistance at 95K and not put a lower low, as I discussed in the theory from yesterday, I believe the altcoins can do really jaw-dropping returns from here. And today at 4 p.m. we have the private weekly TA session with all the elite members on my Patreon. That video is gonna go live tomorrow, but today is private in a small group of around 10 people, and there's still time to join. Just look for the Patreon link in the description. Don't worry, you don't have to join. If you want me to review some altcoins as well, write down a comment below in this video and I can make an in-depth video of that altcoin. The altcoin with more comments repeated, I will pick, of course, the most popular one from multiple comments. Let's have a very quick look at the news, and the one that stands out the most is Bitcoin price always rallies at least 50% after these two patterns emerge. So I was curious, what is that pattern they're talking about? And after reading the article, I think it's a combination of what they call low leverage, meeting stronger than expected retail sales, and hawkish Federal Reserve signals. There's a bunch of situations where that turn into a rally from 50 to 84%. I'm not gonna go into detail on this, but just wanted to understand their train of thoughts. When it comes to leverage, I'm not so sure what is their source, because the aggregated open interest across all exchanges at the moment has pinched 29 billion. The highest it's been ever in history is 35 billion, and we just had a drawdown of 36%. With this move down into 74K, we clear out 36% of that aggregated open interest, but since the low, it has increased again 30%. So I'm not so sure that really the leverage is that low to call it low leverage at this point in time. You tell me. And the decisions around the ETFs for XRP and Doge have been delayed again. Of course, Trump is pushing the SEC to get this on track and to support particularly coins based in the US. At least it's just a delay and not necessarily a full rejection. If it was, probably Trump will start shouting at them and trying to strangle them to get it done. We got this tweet. This is unusual. The S&P 500 rallied over 150 points off of its low today in a matter of hours. And the author is pointing out that this might have had something to do with the results from Meta and Microsoft. Both of them earnings were beating expectations. But apparently the rally upfront the results. So someone must have known about the results. Swan is talking about Bitcoin balances on exchanges just hit a 5-year low. Meanwhile, MicroStrategy just added 15,000 more Bitcoin. The ETFs are staking and wealth is circling. You can see in here in 2020, prior to the most bullish rally of the whole cycle, the previous cycle, when exchanges went that low is where we started seeing the euphoria, the maniac rally of this cycle. And as you can see in here, this has not stopped yet to go down. So if you were to time the cycle and ignore every other signal, this one in particular is saying that we are not yet done. And I remember reading yesterday how much it costs to mine one full Bitcoin in Europe and US. And the article was saying that mining is at the moment at a loss. But I managed to find this nice chart that shows the cost of mining one Bitcoin across the world. Pretty cool stuff. Make sure that you're watching the video in 1440p, which is the maximum resolution I'm uploading, so you can read the detail. Pause the video if you want. I do not know how trustworthy is the information, but I have to say that it's pretty cool to see that in some countries you can even mine for 8K or 3K like Syria. In Russia it costs around $40,000 to mine a full Bitcoin. In China, 50,000. So there's still plenty of countries where you can mine at a big win. For example, in Ethiopia, if you get the rig to mine a Bitcoin for 2K, you can get some pretty decent profits. And Martin seems to be pretty annoyed with the results that we are seeing so far in the first 100 days of administration, second round of Trump. You can see the performance of the S&P 500 across multiple presidents from CryptoQuant. And yeah, sure, there's many situations like Obama in here where as soon as you start the administration, there is a big drawdown. But right after that, things tend to reclaim. Biden as well had a decent rally, but then the S&P corrected to new lows. And after that, it started rebounding. I've read someone that this first 100 days is the worst in history, but definitely we need to wait a little bit longer because we can see that there is a trend of having some pretty bad performance at the beginning of the administration, and when that happens, there is some recovery. With the exception of these two, where we just go down and then we never manage to take the highs of the beginning. That happens with the first term of Bush. Axel again is showing something very interesting in here. I'm a big fan. I follow him on Twitter and on CryptoQuant itself. This particular chart shows the liquidity index for Bitcoin, the moving averages of the 30-day versus the 90 days. And there's some bullish crossovers, cross-unders in history. He's pointing out the bullish ones in green with green bubbles and what follows up after. For example, in here we get some drawdown, but right after that you get upside. Of course, the whole scheme in here is showing just a bull market. So the bias is of course going up. It will be a lot more interesting, this particular chart, if it was showing the bull crosses during a bear market. Always wonder yourself, where is the catch in a model? Don't just consume any model with the first reading or with the first view. As an analyst yourself, you always have to say, where is the catch? Where is the catch? Your brain should never, ever swallow the crap without first saying, hey, hold on the horses. His expectations, assuming there is no black swan incoming, are a test of 100K, a retest of the all-time high, followed by a new all-time high. CryptoQuant itself is talking about the open interest surge that we are experiencing with 2.2 billion in the last 20 days. This strong futures backing on Binance could signal a continuation of the recent bullish trend in Bitcoin. And I explained already why we're stopping at 95.5, the main reason I took a short there. I ended up chickening out and closing it and thinking I'm gonna re-enter up when we go to 97. That's another story, and it's still a game in play. I'm still not defeated. Let me know in the comments what you think, but that's the way I feel. I'll explain later why we could still get my plan to play out. But the volume profile is another element in here that is showing how critical is to reclaim that level. We already talked about this. The point of control, we say this is the half bearish where we've been in the past 2 months, and the half bullish is right above that point of control, which is the area with most volume. It's always very difficult to cross areas of extreme volume. You can place the volume profile in a wide range like this, which we could say is a weekly range. The whole range of this trading from even November, but you can even place it on a 15-minute chart and scalp it if you have time to do that. I don't. How's that for a monthly candle on the Nasdaq? And yes, if you pay attention to the chart of Nasdaq and you put it in the 1 month or in the weekly and you find long wicks to the downside, it tends to play out very accurately for reversals. Material indicators is showing us that trend precognition, which is one of the indicators included in their subscription, there is discounts in the description, showing that we are currently getting a buy signal on the monthly chart. Previously, we had one around here, another one at the bottom of the bear market. Just keep an eye because they draw the arrow in the previous month with what's going on in the current candle. So if the current candle saw a rejection at 95k and we took the lows, say goodbye to that arrow. It will disappear from the chart. That is something that you must understand. Keith explains that, but the way to interpret this chart is not that the arrow is already settled. At least not so far. And you know that I was born in Argentina, so I keep an eye on what's going on in there. Look at the chart of Bitcoin against Argentinian peso. It just printed a new all-time high. Here what you see here is the previous cycle. Everything is always going up forever. That's because that currency is always going down. And this is not the only country, but probably one of the best examples of how Bitcoin is smashing fiat. It is doing the same to USD dollars, but at a slower pace. Ali is talking about the Bollinger Bands, calling for a squeeze on the 4-hour time frame. There should be a major move, and I totally agree. We've been struggling in this area. I took a short at 95.5 at the top of the Bollinger Band. Yesterday we went slightly lower, but we couldn't put a new low. And yesterday we have the first red on Bitcoin ETF spots of minus 56. But this is after a strong period of accumulation. Remember yesterday I was telling you that it seems that we are slowing down. Of course the slowdown is not that big, but price is getting humble as soon as we get closer to the all-time high of cumulative flows. And this is one of the things I love about my Telegram chart bot. I love in the morning seeing people that are already being able to see all my lines and the breakouts straight from Telegram, from desktop, from the phone, from everywhere. And not just that, they can get access to any of my charts with all the annotations. If you join my Telegram channel, underneath each of the posts, you're going to find this link that says TTP charts. You go ahead and enter that. You're going to get tons of charts for free. They update less frequently. And if they're really true value for you, you can upgrade with the links provided. Very soon, if you get access to the pro version, we're going to start testing the AI agent that eventually is gonna end up replacing me and replacing everybody on earth. We're gonna start testing in around 1 week. All Bitcoin whales resurface with 760 million move, and this is a 3 to 5 year old band moving that amount. amount. Almost $1 billion in Bitcoin moving is always sketchy to see. I check on Big Whale Explorer and I haven't seen anything, at least coming from into the block, in terms of deposits from large holders. But this takes a while to update. The source is refreshed, I believe, once a day. So I'll keep you updated if I see a spike on Big Whale Explorer suggesting any big distribution. I will post it on Telegram, Twitter, and Instagram, and you'll be the first one to know. And yeah, with the move down, we still don't go to the target of 91,800, 91,600 on Binance to fill the gap from 2 weekends ago. And that's why I'm a little bit with a smile that the breakdown didn't play out. We closed the month of April at 14%. Make sure that you don't miss the part where we look at the CPR levels for May. Let's see how accurate they were, my forecast of where they're gonna be placed. Before that, let's do the analysis of the 4 hour, and you can already see my smile because the breakdown that we had yesterday, where again, this is not clickbait, there was a technical breakdown on 4 hour and 1 day. Where is it? It is here. That is the technical breakdown. What's going on at the moment is that the 4 hour candle so far is producing not just a revenge rally, but it's going beyond that into 56. It should stop at 55. At that point is still resistance where we meet the downwards with the upwards sloping trend lines. And if we close at 56, we are reclaiming both at the same time. If we do that with a candle confirmation in the next 3 hours roughly, we are literally faking out that move to the downside and still going to potentially take the 97 liquidity. If you look at my plan, I say number 1, just go up, low likelihood. Number 2, to go lower first and then up to 2. Sorry, number 2 was we take the 97 up until 97.5 and then we go lower to the CME gap. That's my plan 2. That's my preference. Plan 3 was to go straight down. And as you can see, the liquidity on the lower end is still there, the CME gap is still there, and we are pushing now into beyond 95k. If we close the 4 hour candle like this, there is a higher likelihood that we are gonna go for plan 2, which is to take 97.5, and then the plan diverts into 2 options, which is carry on to 100k or just take 97.5 and then go for CME gap right before conquering 100k. Some people decided to stay in the short. So if you are still in the short, let me know in the comments. If you are thinking to close the short, let me know as well. Or are you in a long already? What's your plan? We can see on the daily what's going on in here. We lost the support on the daily. That was a technical breakdown. And we talk about a revenge rally in here into 71, 70. Today is 71, by the way. So I had to move the green line into 97.3, which perfectly fits the narrative of that final push down. You can also see this red bubble. This is the moon phases. We got a new moon a couple of days ago, and you can see the performance. With the green ones, full moon, we get some upside, decent upside the last time. With the new moon, we go down. So this new moon, if we go to that 97 and then it plays out, pushing us lower to do the retest, everything fits. Of course, Bitcoin doesn't need to please my vision of what it means, everything fitting. And that's not the point. The point is always to trade what you think has the highest likelihood. And if there's not such a thing, then don't trade. And my mission, I'm gonna share it, my mission for trading is not to win a trade. You shift your mind. I don't wanna win. Leave that secondary, okay? Still want to win, of course, we wanna make money. But if your primary goal is to win, your focus is on the wrong thing. Your focus needs to be first on an edge. Did you find an edge? Do you find something that has highest likelihood of happening versus an alternative plan? Cool, you got the first thing. Second thing, do you identify the alternatives that have less probability of happening? If you do, great. Then manage that risk. If that happens, where is gonna be your stop loss? How much are you gonna lose? How much are you gonna DCA? You got that too? Okay, you got 2. And 3 is execution, which is holding the position in a win and deciding where to exit. You don't wanna exit too early like I did 2 days ago. That's a mediocre bad trade. I exit because of the risk, but in terms of returns, it was really poor. You want to ride it decently from the very lows into the highs, or from the very highs into the lows. Anyways, going back into the topic, if we go up and we hit 71, we are hitting 97,500, give or take. And if that does the rejection, if we start then a channel down to do the retest, we can get a retest somewhere between 54 to 43 on the RSI. At the moment, 43 is located at 85. So you get a decent range in here to do some sort of retest, assuming that 97 or somewhere in here rejects the price, just like the daily RSI is suggesting. We'll see. Of course, there is always that chance, that risk that we go beyond 71 and then we say, hey, hold on the horses. That's the weird scenario, the low likely, but we have to manage that risk too. And the weekly time frame closed right at resistance. This is so annoying. Look at the support at 93,779, and where did we close? Right there on spot. Price is such a BI, and I'm not gonna spell it full, but you get the point. And we start this week right there from the closing price above. And where is the catch? Well, the catch is that this week we must defend that new support. If we close back down in here by Sunday, well, at least let's defend the bull market support band and this 86. Taking down that 86 and going all the way to the range lows in here, that is painful. Losing 80k, it's still technically, a higher low, but we start entering into the gray area. Not everything is lost, don't get me wrong. I will say everything is lost if we start fooling around with the range of the previous year, 2024. Okay, CPR monthly, new month, and my pivots were slightly off. I got one right, which is the 91k. I was expecting that line to be there, and I was expecting the next ones to be quite narrow, expecting volatility. But, the CPR calculation says that the lowest pivot is at 85k. So now we are starting May with a virgin CPR. Keep an eye for that. 90-something% chances of a move at the very least to touch 91k. With an RSI now doing a revenge rally, it seems like a good edge, right? Think twice. Most months we touch the CPR pivots. Those are located between 91 and 85. You probably wonder, which of those are we gonna touch? 91, 88, 85. Well, losing virginity, and I'm feeling like this channel is turning into sexual education, but it is not. We are talking about CPR virginity specifically today. And I'm talking to lose virginity, all you need is the same as human beings, just a single touch and, CPR lost virginity. So 91, 100, that's the trick. And let's look at where it is support and resistance this month. Let's acknowledge what is the full range doable according to this particular model. Support starts from 80, then we have 67, and then we have 59. Whoa. Well, previous support was even lower, was at 49. 80, first line of support. As I said, let's defend it. Let's not put a new low. If we go to the second support at 67, then we're fooling around with 2024 range, which is definitely not something great. And resistance. We touched the resistance in April, so the model says that it's doable to go to 101.6 this time. So ideal, most bullish scenario for continuation, in my opinion, is to first lose virginity, okay, in that order, touch 91, maximum 85, okay? Let's get on with losing virginity first, and then shoot back up to 101.8. At that point, we got plenty of liquidations all the way to the top resistance at 123.272. So there you go. That's my preference, and I think it matches more or less with the probabilities of what we are expecting for May. On the monthly, we managed to break out. This candle on the monthly looks beautiful. Let me move this line perfectly to match the closing price of December and January, and we can see that April managed to take that level. So we are now starting from support on monthly, from support on weekly. May, you have a big task this month. You have to defend what we have done so far. Volume continues to go lower. If we get into this range in here of 104 and we start taking all that liquidation up in May, that is gonna give us a confirmation volume candle beyond the average. That's what we want as a confirmation to get to say, yep, we are on a lookout for a new range higher. That is a confirmed, validated breakout, just like it was this candle with big volume, this candle with big volume, this one in there with big volume. 3 of them were fully confirmed and the range held after. So it's a great thing to know. No new signals from SOPR, but these signals sometimes have some drawdown and then downside. Leverage squeeze as well, printed 3, and we are just ranging so far. There can be drawdown like in here. We'll see how it plays out. And something very interesting in here, guys. On the stochastic monthly, we close the month like this at 16 and the orange line at 38. And what May, sorry, did I say May? April, we close it like that. And May, at the moment, with these candles being defined, we have 30 days to define them. If we go slightly higher, we could potentially close May with a bullish cross on the monthly. And let's just do a quick reminder that I say after we go into the middle of the range in a topping year, we have never survived the next bearish cross. We already have that bearish cross in here. We are supposed to go into a bear market according to what Bitcoin was doing in past performance in previous cycles. There is the whole group of people now saying, hey, don't look at the past. The past doesn't matter. Now we have institutions and we have Saylor and we have Trump and we have all the MAGA and all the other things going on. I'm not gonna get political, don't worry. I don't need to today. But that forecast says now you go straight to the low end and you cross 20, you close below 20, and that's it. So for those dudes that really do believe there is more to come, well, you got this scenario in here. In 2021, we pinch that 20. We have around September a bull cross and we have a new all-time high. That all of that develop at the low end of the stochastic RSI, but still not below 20. So here there is some room for getting that done. Remember that I have a bullish bias. I even say that during the bear market video. I have a bullish bias, but I have to share this information with you. Full transparency and honesty, but still people think that is clickbait. Many people really get very emotional about Bitcoin analysis. I don't know how they survive to trade with all those emotions. I was never able to trade decently until I managed to put the emotions completely out of my trading. Long-term holders continue on their accumulation relative to what happened in 48K beginning of bear market in 2021. They were doing the opposite. They were selling the rip. Now they are buying this rip, which is really crazy. So what is my invalidation scenario? So if we go to 97,500 and we carry on into 100K and we close a 4-hour candle above 100K, pretty much we have guaranteed that we are going to start consuming the higher liquidity. And the highest liquidity at the moment in yellow, which is the closest to the price, is located at 101 up until 102. Then we have some small vacuum in here, and then we get again at 110 all-time high, and then the incentive to go into price exploration is quite heavy. We have 113 and we have 125. Failure in here, if we were to do the 48K thing that we did in 2022, then we have this 67 thing, the hair in the soup, however you want to call it. On liquidation heat map, let's update the 1 month. Let's see how many shorts are trapped, and you can see that from 95 up until 97, we are increasing the yellow there. I will say it's almost taking the lead against 82, which is definitely the oil in the pan that we need to fry those eggs so it doesn't get sticky. That metaphor, I use it for the price being able to cross, hopefully just until 98, so I can take my short, or until 100K and beyond. If we was able to fill all this vacuum post 97, then it can get easily to 100k, so watch out for not getting too much olive oil around 98, 99, because that's definitely gonna put me off to really put a short there. And that's why I decide my positions on the spot, because liquidity is an always changing board of chess. On the last 30 days, we got 96, pretty heavy in here, liquidation levels, the highest of the past 30 days. Beautiful. And longs have pulled back down into 39 at the moment as the price goes higher, potentially helping for that price to not go much up from there. The bid versus ask ratio is flat at the moment, so no alpha from there. The delta is also flat with 27k. And we got this resistance that ends around 96k. On fire charts, no news from Trading Light. What the hell is going on with these dudes? 4 days down. Fair value gaps, the same. We still have them there. There is a very thin there at 92. General markets, a very quick overview. I believe that dollar is gonna start bottoming in here and producing a breakout. That could bring back up the dollar a little bit, maybe into $102, I will say. Gold amazingly hit my target of 3.5k that I've been talking in the past 2 months. And after that, we got the shooting star. And now we are proceeding with the move down. If we close this weekly candle like this, we're gonna get a breakdown of the weekly RSI. That is also supporting the idea for further downside of gold. And the idea that maybe, just maybe, people are starting to take more risk. Remember that they are using gold as a safe haven. That is contributing to the Nasdaq to potentially this week reclaim 19.3k. But Nasdaq has a huge task at hand. It's gonna have to reclaim 52 if we don't want just a rejection there as well. I think it's 53, and on the price that is 20.5k. I'm using the symbol Nasdaq and NDX. I'm conscious that some people use a different one and they get like 2k less, but just look at the figure and understand that I'm talking about the next resistance more or less, which is the support of the M pattern that we broke down from. And today we got a mixed bag of pre-market prices, starting with Google up 1.5 points, Apple 2 points down, Nvidia around 5 points up. As long as it doesn't go beyond the 0.3, we could still fulfill the number 4, but we need to be prepared after Nvidia has been coming down in a straight line in here. We need to be prepared for a potential breakout over 46 in this area, in which case, let's be prepared for not fulfilling 100% my target of $72. The correction should be like this, but well, if market recover, let's not marry number 4 and let's be prepared for Nvidia breaking out from 47, in which case we can go to 54 and then start potentially even a rally. Why not? Amazon is being rejected from the neckline in here. That it's thanks to their introduction of tariffs in the pricing on the website. Not because of that, but because of the backslash from Trump for doing that. I don't think that's gonna stay. They can fix that. The same way they put them, they can remove them. They can please the president and then go back and follow the rest of the market. If the markets continue up in this trajectory, well, then Amazon is gonna follow that. Tesla 1 point down. Palantir is doing something really incredible. After breaking down this support since 2022, it has reclaimed that support. Really impressive. Of course, it is in a channel down already, so our channel down pretty much has this slope, I will say, something like this, and at the moment is on the way to the next resistance at 76 weekly RSI. That could bring a new all-time high, but is already in the area of momentum dropping down, bearish divergences on the weekly. And after this very ugly candle on the monthly, I wouldn't be surprised if this green candle also closes with a wick up, in which case we get a final top for Palantir. I guess the key is how the monthly closes for Palantir before deciding really if we get a bearish or bullish bias. Well, after the good earnings from Microsoft, we can see some decent performance in here. Microsoft already kind of reclaiming fully the neckline that it lost. And I will say it can have a rally into 54 RSI weekly. MicroStrategy, it's been a while already that it reclaimed the neckline and is now facing the next resistance at around 300 $95. Guys, if you want to trade Bitcoin, consider opening an account on Bluffin. Why? Because you can open the account in just 30 seconds without needing to do KYC. You just deposit your crypto and start trading with leverage, altcoins. Get your 10% cash back by using the link in the description, and you can even win a Rolex if you trade with enough volume. Get a position airdrop of $500 with Bybit and trade any of the coins that are listed in here. All you have to do, again, link in the description, and then click register to claim. Let me know what you want me to do for the second video of the day, and remember that at 4 p.m. UK time we are going to have the live stream with the elite members. One thing that people really like doing is voting for their coins prior to the live stream. Then I review their coins, and then they watch the recording the day after if there is some time zone gap in there. I'll see you later. Take care. Bye bye.